What if I were to ask you, who are you? What's the first thing you would say? Most likely, you would tell me that you are a qualified blank, blank, blank professional of some sort. You might tell me your job title. You might tell me your role in your family, a mother, a wife, a daughter, things like that, a doctor, a lawyer, or a professional or coach or something like that, or a yoga teacher, dance teacher, whatever that it is that you do is how you would describe who you are. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just an observation that I want to invite you to make today about your identity and the identity that you embody when you show up in the world. We all have been taught since the beginning of time to work really, really hard to build this identity that will then help us go out and be successful in the world, right? So there's nothing wrong with this identity or having an identity. In fact, most marketing people will tell you to build a very strong identity so that you can introduce yourself with clarity and focus when you meet somebody. And if you have a business, they'll tell you get super clear on what your business does, who it helps, and what is the problem it solves. I've spent many, many years trying to figure that out for myself because I've made some jumps in my businesses, and it's always been tricky to explain what I do, right? Because I'm pivoting and evolving and growing. But what I've come to realize over the years is that, yes, there needs to be this physical material identity that we put out in the world, but most people have become so attached to this identity that they are forgetting that there is more to them than this identity. So let's talk about this. From the day that we are born, we are put into, clothes with some meaning on them. Like a football dad will put a football onesie on his son or daughter. My kids were little, I would probably put warrior onesies on them, right? Because I'm already projecting an identity on my kids. And most likely that identity that I'm projecting on them has more to do with my journey of becoming a warrior and how important that journey was and how profound that journey was for me. And so I must then teach that lesson that took me years to learn to my kids from the very beginning. And I should do it faster and better, right? This is the conditioning that we have all been brought up with and been raised with. When I project my identity onto my kids, I am extending that dysfunction in a way more than necessary, right? Because my kid has been born with his own sense of identity, something that he is capable of doing in the world, something that he is capable of bringing into the world in its full glory. So once I did this work to peel, feel, and heal myself, peeling the conditioning that used to define my identity, peeling the conditioning that made me who I thought I was, that the world had kind of made me develop, I realized that at my core, I am a seeker. I love to learn, love to seek out knowledge, and I'm an educator, which means I love to then share whatever it is that I have learned with the world. Now, this could mean different things for different people. Your identity at your core might be something different. Maybe you are a super compassionate person who cannot tolerate suffering, and your identity is compassion. If you were to take off the layers of, identities that the world has kind of put on you or forced you to take on, then maybe you will start to uncover a little bit of your true core identity, because we're so quick to intellectualize every single thing in our life, right? We want to intellectualize our thoughts, our behaviors, our patterns, our experiences, our learnings, and we want to put them in a box. We want to label them neatly and we want to put them away. So I am a mom, yes, but that's not my true core identity. That is one role that I play. I am a coach, yes, but that is not my true core identity, right? It's very close to my core identity, which is to be a seeker as a coach, keep learning new things, keep evolving, and then help others do the same, right? So it is closest, I would say, to my true identity. So maybe you have one also that is close to your true identity. The question is, are you operating from your external superficial identity, or are you operating from your core identity? The problem with having a superficial identity is this. Most people will build a superficial identity to keep them safe. Take perfectionists, for example, right? If they were little and they were applauded for being perfect in their approach to certain tasks, they develop this identity of, when I do things perfectly, I am rewarded. When I'm rewarded and I feel accomplished. When I feel accomplished, I feel seen, heard, and valued. And so they develop this identity of a perfectionist. Now, as they get older, sometimes they don't have control over their situations. And when you don't have control and you can't control all the parameters of a project or a situation or an experience, chances are you cannot be a perfectionist in that area. So when you cannot be a perfectionist in an area, that shatters your identity. The universe, your soul, is always trying to pull you back to that core identity, right? Because you lost it somewhere along the way and you covered it up with these superficial identities. So my invitation to you today is, see where you are facing disappointment, see where you are facing blocks, see where you might be struggling with your superficial identity, or someone somewhere along the way made you develop this identity, right? And it was a safety mechanism, maybe a coping skill, maybe a defense mechanism. There's so many examples I can give, but we'll stick with the perfectionist one for this. And then if you want to dig deeper into your personal identity battle or crisis, if you're having one, what is a midlife crisis? It's essentially this idea that I've taken on this identity for all my life and now it's not working. Suddenly it's not working in my life and things are falling apart. Or, I thought that if I was going to do things a certain way, I would succeed. But now I've done things that way all my life and I'm still not feeling successful. I'm not feeling fulfilled. So what is wrong? And then we get so lost and so exhausted. And then we start to look outside for answers, right? We're looking for clues to help us identify the problem. And when I work with people one-on-one, we uncover some of these things, and it's shocking to my clients that this identity that I'm holding on to was never my true identity. At the core, I'm actually something else. I actually want to do other things, because when I drive from that core identity, I'm authentic, I'm real, I'm relatable, and I show up in a different energy because I'm so passionate about my core identity. And my invitation to you again today is just to start to peel the layers and see if what you think you are is truly who you are deep down. Like, what makes your soul come alive? Is it being in that role, being in that identity, or is it something else? And if it is something else, what is it? And then peel that a little bit further and then question yourself. Like, I would ask you the 5 whys. Why am I showing up like this? Or why am I showing up in the next layer and the next layer and the next layer until you get to that core? I didn't come up with seeker and educator overnight, right? It took me years and years to get to that core. But now that I see the patterns in myself and in my clients, I'm able to kind of get to people's core identities a little bit faster. And I can see the blind spots that they can't see. If you're struggling to figure out what your core identity is, let's talk, because I want to help you get to it so that once you get there, you can then operate from there. And that also requires some unlearning, right? Because you're so used to operating in a certain way from this superficial identity that you're going to have to break some habits in order to show up authentically. And I think we all know by now that authenticity is a crucial element finding fulfillment and purpose. So if you don't authentically know who you are, who your soul is deep down, who your spirit is, what makes your spirit come alive, then let's talk, really, because I want to free you from that superficial level of showing up. I want to help you take off the mask that you've been carrying around, because you deserve to show your true authentic self to the world, and the world is waiting to see your most authentic version. So let's go. What are we waiting for? Sign up for a discovery call today. Let's talk. Let's free you from that mask so that you can be you. Let's do it. And if you are already succeeding in identifying that core identity, then let me know in the comments under this podcast episode, wherever you are listening or watching. All right. Take care. And I hope you get as authentic as you need to for the world to appreciate and love you the way you deserve to be loved. Take care.